Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I don't know if you guys knew this. It released to a little bit of criticism from those who have technical
Didn't hear about it.
What?
Didn't hear about
No.
issues. Yeah.
Oh,
He had
video
it
games
there.
have issues?
Yeah.
I don't remember, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't watch a ton of reviews, but the reviews I watched, I don't remember anybody really even commenting on it.
I only saw it in one because I was curious who gave it the lowest ranking on
Because
Metacritic.
usually they'll blast stuff like that.
And it was was it We Got This Covered? It was a smaller outlet, something like that
I thought
gave
I
it
saw Game Rant or something similar.
and one of them gave like a 3 out of 5, and the major negatives were all once they patch it, it's going to be amazing because they love the story,
okay.
the music, the characters, the combat. I was like, aren't those all the key things that make a game good? But because it has technical issues that you are even acknowledging, they will fix and
Yeah.
patch. You gave it a 3 out of 5.
To me, it varies by reviewer because some of them don't weigh that stuff as much as others, for sure. Like
Yeah,
I think the
yeah,
Ace
but
and
I'm
Nines,
saying
a
I
lot
don't
of them
even
mention-
remember anybody
I think that's true.
mentioning it, and a lot of
do.
times they'll like if it's really bad, like the press that it's getting now that it's really bad. It's usually the main thing that they'll talk about in the
Yeah, I
review.
feel like the two aren't paired right now.
That's
agree
what
with
I'm
that.
saying.
Where like the
Because if you
reviews, I
just go to
feel
the
like-
Metacritic, you would think this is a clean release, amazing game. But
Yeah, and I was gonna say Easy Allies did point out that there were, a lot of frame rate dips, when they were playing. So like but they still rated it like an 8.5 or a 9 or something.
I think
like that. They still
GameSpot
rated it
also
pretty high.
acknowledged some technical problems, but gave it an 8 out of
Okay.
10. And similar.
See,
Yeah,
I'm
For
wondering
them, it
if
just
it's
wasn't weighted the same as other.
I'm
Well, for
wondering if
GTA,
it's-
usually that's weighted pretty heavily, but like maybe for that particular reviewer, maybe he didn't. Yeah,
That's because
I
it
don't know.
wasn't broken technically. Like if a game is broken technically, that's a problem. If it's kind of like,
Yeah.
hey, there were some disappointing moments in performance in these technical areas that I noticed, it's worth noting, maybe docking some points depending on who the reviewer is, but it didn't sound like game breaking. And we can get into some of that as we talk
I
about
feel
it.
like a lot of
Yeah,
these,
game picking is a loaded word for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of people get broken and like performance issues confused. Like they if a game doesn't run exactly how they think it should run, it's broken.
Mm.
And that
For-
was
for-
kind of what
yeah,
I was
for a
that was
segment of
what
people
I was
out there,
kind of
for sure, yeah.
explaining in the
Yeah.
chat is that I don't trust like PC gamers. This isn't to bash PC gamers because I am a PC gamer, but like if anybody's like on a mid to low end PC, first of all, they don't announce it while they're bashing a game. They're not like my PC is low end and it can't run really well. They'll just bash a game and say it's not optimized well. I will say this game's not optimized perfect, so I'm not saying they're wrong on this game.
And you
I'm
mean by
saying
that
in
it's asking too
general,
much of your computer to run it. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and a lot of PC gamers, like when they go downvote games and they say this is a terrible, it's not optimized right, it's bad, it's because they're lower in and they won't mention that. Like the very few will sit there and tell you what their rig is. So I don't trust like PC gamers who just start
That's fair.
bashing a game because a lot of times they're not running on good hardware. And I'm not just talking for me. I'll see other people that have high-end 30s and 40s cards, and they're all like, I'm not having issues. Yeah, it's not optimized perfect, but it still runs good. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it seems like the criticisms go across the consoles as well, PS5 and Xbox
Yeah.
Series X, and so it's not unique to PC in this particular case, although that is certainly to me, that's the most fair criticism is that, hey, this is not only a huge download, but then it's taxing your machine to its limits, so you have to have a higher end, or at least higher mid-end, in order to really run it successfully. So I think that's actually a fair thing to point out, like, fix the PC version. That if I hear that, I'm like, that makes sense. Like, it should not be destroying your system to run a game, or like
Yeah, because
taxing
aren't
it.
their minimum requirements pretty
Pretty basic.
they're pretty basic, right? Like this
They're
if you're
comparable
just
to
looking
other
at
new
like what
games.
the minimum requirements are.
Yeah.
I remember some review pointing that out. So it's like
Yes, but you got to remember, like on consoles, you're literally just flipping a switch and you're saying performance or quality.
yeah.
On PCs, this is what my main point isn't that
Sure.
you're not allowed to downvote a game. It's who's downvoting it and why are they downvoting it. If you're running a game like this, let's say you're in a 20 series. Let's say you have a 2080 and you're expecting it to run, your expectations are that you should be able to run it at high, hit 60 frames per second and do 4K. you're delusional. These are
That's dumb
modern
for-
games. You're
that's dumb for any
delusional.
game. Yeah, that's dumb for any.
So, but
Doesn't-
there are people out there that do that.
Doesn't
yeah.
Steam actually have a spot for you to put your what do you call it? Gear, whatever the hell you call it.
I've
Card,
seen
video
people do
card,
that.
stuff like
I
that.
They'll
think so.
tell you their entire rig.
There's like
when
spots
they're-
for it, and it's optional,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
it's cool when
Yeah.
people do that, and they're like, "Oh, I have an Nvidia."
It is
blah, blah,
cool.
blah.
Like
Yeah.
the transparency.
I like that. Well, outside of the technical issues, and I'm not saying there aren't any, so if you're experiencing them, that's a bummer. Hopefully they get patched soon. We want to talk about the game itself and our early impressions of it. You know, it's a story-based single-player game, so we will not give you any kind of big story spoilers. Don't worry about that. Plus, I don't think any of us are so far into it that we have a ton, maybe a few of the
Cal
opening.
dies in the first 15 minutes.
Other than Cal dying, right away.
Yeah, you're actually playing Clone Cal with a K. So.
I mean, if
you
played
actually
it,
play as Morgana from Dragon Age.
if you
so
play it
she
on
is
normal
in it.
difficulty,
You said you wouldn't.
if you play it on normal difficulty, Cal will
She's in
die
it.
if you play like I do.
Many
because
times,
I got
yeah.
killed.
It's actually Raiden, and he does cartwheels naked.
Yep,
That's what happens.
I understand that reference. Yeah.
so the game crew,
I understand. That.
it obviously picks up a few years after the events of the first game because Cal now has a beard. So
Beard
he's,
cow.
he's growing
Beard
up.
means passage of time. That's
It
basics,
does.
guys. Yeah, that's just the basics.
That's really
That's
the only
why
way to do
you-
it. If they
That's
don't
why
want to tell you,
unlock beards.
if they don't want to tell you the time, they can have either a female be more pregnant in the next scene. It's like, oh, some months have passed, or the
Oh,
male
Yeah, that's true.
has
That's
a
true.
beard. Like, oh, some time has passed here. He's got a beard now.
Right.
He found
Um,
that beard out in the wild.
But he, the whole
Actually,
opening
yes.
section,
Actually,
whole-
yes.
the whole opening area of Coruscant, I just thought was because I've played different games versions of Coruscant in many games, and there's some cool
Yeah.
versions out there. This is by far my favorite version that they've done of
Totally.
this city and the way you can
Agree.
explore, just the way it looks, these details, like these little nuances, little piles of junk in the corner, and like graffiti on the walls. It just
We
feels
don't-
like a lived-in old kind of dirty city
We
in
also
space.
just don't get enough to like see in the movies or anything really, except for you watch the cartoons. Like, what does it look like when the Empire occupies the Jedi Temple? You know, which
Yeah.
is the first shot of the game. This is not a spoiler or anything.
Yeah, right.
But like, it's just interesting to see how like not like light and vibrant like it looks like in the prequel series. It's like it's obviously occupied and dingy and dark and a lot of brutalist architecture. It's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, this version of Coruscant's very cool.
And don't
I
they
thought it
change the
was a
menu
good-
screen to that image, right? After
They did.
Yeah.
I thought the intro was really good because you're in that setting for a while, a lot longer than I thought you were going to. That
Yeah,
mission
I was in there 2 hours. Yeah.
way
Same.
longer than I thought it was going to be. And then when you actually go outside, the contrast from such a dark city to now you're in a new area and it's super bright. Keep in mind, like, I watched some stuff on this game, so I knew they said it was more open. I
Yeah.
didn't know exactly what that meant. So
Mhm.
I literally that's why I was actually late, as I was playing Survivor. But like, I just got to an even more open, like where it really
Yes.
opens up here. Like, this actually looks like an open world game.
Yeah.
So I was like blown away by, as soon as I first saw that image, like the crispness of how everything looks. Nature looks amazing. I thought this was absolutely gorgeous, and it was, even out in the open areas, it was running smoothly. So I wasn't really having any issues out there. Everything was smooth. It looked good. I don't know. This isn't my most hype game. Like, I'm more excited for Redfall and Zelda. But as I was playing it tonight, I was like, I don't know, man. I might have to dive a little bit deeper into this because it's that good. It's got that feeling that it's bigger, is what I'm saying.
Character faces look really good too, right? Like the animations and their speed. I think it does. The eyes look a little funky in a couple scenes, but otherwise, I don't know if that was just a weird shadow moment. I don't know.
Your
what that
game's
was.
broken. It was.
I
broken.
should just turn it back in. Yeah.
You should
Um,
go on Twitter and yell about it a lot.
There was one moment when there's a new friend character. I think his name is Bode, who we talked
Yeah.
about. He's voice acted by a guy that you've seen in Red Dead Redemption 2 and then
Katalo.
Horizon Forbidden
Yeah.
West. And you were right. I did recognize him right away. I was like, that is Katalo. Like, it's Katalo with no face paint on when they
Right.
when I saw him.
That's cool.
Is it?
But
Yeah.
it's the
It's
same
Katalo,
guy,
yeah.
and it's even like
Cool.
face model.
He's like one of my favorites, so I always
So
recognize his
good.
voice. I'm like, I love his voice. It's distinct.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's
Well,
got
he
a
also
cool
plays
voice.
some of the best characters, like the most like down to earth, grounded, trustworthy
Yeah.
characters. At least in
He
the
was
last 2 games.
his character in Red Dead 2 is incredible.
So
Like
good.
Who's he playing
Yeah.
Red Dead 2 again?
Charles, the Native American.
Teaches
Charles
you to
is
fish.
great. Yeah,
Oh,
Charles
okay,
is
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. I think the facial animations overall are really good, and they express. There's stuff in that first section in Coruscant where there's some expressing happening because things unfold, and so I think they did a good job of. I just think the technical quality of it's really high of Cal expressing and reacting to things that are happening. I was like, yeah, let's
I
do
also
this.
think
That was
Cal
cool.
is like his voice actor is really good.
I
Yeah,
think he's
Cameron
great.
Monaghan.
Well, he's
Yeah.
like an actual
Like,
actor,
just-
right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
like a
exactly.
voice actor.
Exactly.
But like the way he like in the intro or when he's talking to I forgot who the bad guy is or whatever
just one of the senators, I guess, or
the senator or whatever. The
Oh,
way
yeah.
he's just talking
I'll
to
have to
him and
watch
how
this.
like cocky he is and condescending, and it just flows. It feels like he's not reading a script or anything. Like this is how I would talk to you in real life. It's really
He's
good.
confident with this character for sure after that first game.
Yeah, I felt like he was a little withheld in the first game. Obviously, because he was coming into his own as his own,
Yeah.
character or whatever.
Well,
but
also the
like,
events of that game, like what's going on. It's kind of like, oh, this is
Sure.
like there's a lot happening here, and there's a lot
I
of murder
mean,
going
like,
on.
think of how confident this guy's got to be now. I think 5 years have passed. I think is the passage of
Yes.
time.
5 years.
And think of how confident this guy has to be to go to the heart of the Empire and to like pull off some height. Like that's really cocky,
It
Like,
is.
and I love it. I kind of like that. That's where he's at now. Is that,
very
like,
much
he's-
resembles Luke in Jedi.
Yes.
Yeah, just so confident that I can just
Swagger.
walk into this thief of den, or this den of thieves and be able to walk out with what I need,
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool for him.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. That opening was a lot of fun, and then like Derek said, the second section has an awesome contrast to being outdoors, much more nature focused. You actually see some creatures now, and not just humanoid-ish enemies that you're fighting, and kind of opens things up that way too. I think the combat is just as fun as the first with some additions already, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. I know that if you are a huge fan of like super precise combat, whether it's fighting games or FromSoft games, and the like, I understand you feeling like, hey, this doesn't feel like those. It doesn't. It's much more loose and flowing than those types of games.
My comparison I like to
But it
give
works.
is like, imagine if Uncharted was a melee game, because this is very much a Star Wars Uncharted.
I'm with you
Yeah,
there, man.
I like that
Action
comparison.
game,
Yeah.
No, that works for me too. But I feel like just an awesome Jedi in almost every encounter. Like if you need to, you can always I switch to the what is it, the
Staff?
the staff, and then just block for a little while to kind of back off and get my bearings, and then go back in again. It's so fun. The dual wielding is a blast. Makes you feel super powerful.
Yeah.
And
It's fun.
The staff is my go-to. I don't know. It's just the flourishes, and he's so extra with it.
I
He
really need
he
to-
kills somebody, and then he does like 16 more flips for no reason.
Yeah.
Like,
I really need to focus
fun.
in on like a style, because I'm
So
just
do
doing
I.
regular, and then I have a secondary, which is just whatever the new thing I got.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
hear you.
So I think I'll need to really pick one, because, and I don't know, I don't know. I feel like I have to have a single saber. Like, do you guys feel like you have to have something?
Yeah, I do that out of obligation.
Yeah, okay.
Really,
I don't know. There's
Keep it old school.
There's a weird compulsion to just be
Right.
like, I just need one has to be the.
Well,
single
that's
blade.
because the
What's
stats are
that
all
weird rule
even,
that
right?
I'm
The
making?
stats are all right in the middle. I'm like, well, I need that.
I'm just playing as single.
Are you? Yeah.
I was
yeah.
for a little
That-
bit, and then the staff just looked so cool after I
That lunge
customized
Yeah,
move is
I think I
pretty
need to
great
just
though.
switch
Like
it up
you can upgrade the lunge to extend even further, and it's actually pretty incredible.
I just got that, and it's awesome. I really do like the dual sabers as well. I think it's just really fast and cool.
especially when you flip it around and just let it go.
It's
Like,
awesome.
it's just so good.
It's funny. I
And I
handed
know-
the controller to my son, who played through the whole first game and loved it, and he's gonna start his own save on this one too. But he just wanted to explore and see what it felt like. And I had totally forgotten you can throw your lightsaber until he did it. He was like, "Oh, cool, you can still do that." And I was like, "Wait, what'd you hit? How'd you do that?"
Yeah, no, I was
Pro
like
gamer over there.
because I was like, I know they said we have everything. Where's the saber throw? And it took me hours into the game before
You
I
have
was
to
like,
hold
oh my
block
god,
and then hit
L1 and
tri-
triangle.
Yeah,
Okay,
hit hold block and hit triangle. I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Because the game does, the game was prompting me for everything else, and so I'm like, "Okay, game, whatever you say, I'll do that." Like I
don't remember a prompt for that one. Yeah.
there was no prompt for it that I could find either.
Yeah,
That
I've been
first
missing
boss-
actually. Funny enough, whenever they give you a new thing to unlock, whether it's traversal or combat related, I just kind of skim through it and then it disappears, and then I forget what the button is until I magically discover it, rediscover
Oh, there
it
it
later.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Well, that first boss kicked my butt. So I'm only on normal difficulty. I'm not a glutton for punishment, but I do like to kind of battle my way through. Like I like the feeling of accomplishment. So I like that balance. And I thought the first game had a decent amount of challenge without being brutal.
Force is all about balance, dude.
Well,
all right.
and so
All right.
but that first boss was kicking my butt. I think I died like 4 times in a row, and I was like, why do I suck so bad? This is supposed to be the opening boss that teaches you how to play. Am I bad at this again? And I kind of am, but I had kind of forgotten, like, oh, they just want you to just use your blocking and parrying and then attack in between that and then dodge the red moves. I was trying to like go way over the top and do all my specials, and I kept using all my health, and then I eventually I took more of a Elden Ring approach. Like, let me just be patient and just react to what this enemy's doing, and it was so easy once I did that. I was like,
there you go.
I kind of started playing it like God of War myself, where I was just like, I need to push it. I need to push the attack, and I just need to keep on pushing it. And I'm just like, I'm getting creamed right now. I need to chill out a little bit and like choose the way I'm going about this a little bit differently.
I love the ending to that fight too. Is just incredible.
It is.
Yeah, big time.
Well, it's another good example of the character's maturity with Cal, just what he says and how,
and his awareness of everything that's going on with the Force.
So cool.
Yeah. Absolutely love it. So I thought the opening area was done brilliantly, and then they really do open it up in that second one. I am so looking forward to diving in deeper. Any other thoughts on this one? And Dan, you said you're planning on playing it. I think the rest of us are into it right now.
I'll get to it eventually, yeah. It's just...
So the only thing I'll say is my major complaint from Fallen Order that made you guys think I hate the game, and I don't, is that I would make fun of it and say all it is just run, skip, and jump through levels, which a lot of the levels were designed that way. The open area I'm in now, yes, you still run, jump, and skip, but that's like to get to difficult spots. There's still a lot of open area to explore where it doesn't feel like I'm just in like a Mario game or something like that. Like this feels like more of an open area. This is what I was looking for.
I mean, that is the crux of the joke that we always did, right?
I know, but that's what I wanted, and I feel like this game.
There's still a lot of run, skipping, and jumping compared, but that's fine.
What?
There's still a lot of running and skipping and jumping.
I just said that there is. I said that the game is more open, so the areas are more open, so that's not all that you're doing. But there's still, to get to places, you still have to run on walls and jump and all that stuff. Yeah. But it didn't feel like the whole game was built around that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Little thing.
Yeah, and it's not quite as in your face with, can't get there yet. Like there's a few of those, but it's not like tons of them that makes me feel like, oh man, there's so much that I haven't unlocked here. Like they didn't really overwhelm me with that.
Plus it's pretty big, so sometimes when I'm looking at something and I'm like, I don't know how to get to it, I at least this is how I think. I'm like, maybe I'm not supposed to get to it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
anything
like
red,
I'm supposed to go somewhere. Yeah,
there's no way to get into that
I need to go.
It's like Metroid element.
You just have to walk away. That's a lot of the tip videos I was watching was just like, if you reach a red door that's red on your map,
walk away.
Can't get into that right now. Yeah. Just walk away. Like don't spend 20 minutes trying to figure it out. You know, like there's nothing you don't have the tool at that moment.
Yeah.
You know?
I wasted a lot of time doing that on the first really open area.
Same.
Yeah.
And Dan, like you said with Metroid, actually the map is improved. It's still not going to be everyone's favorite, but it is improved. But it does have a very Metroid-like look to it, with kind of the 3D hologram thing where you can kind of spin it around and get an idea of what door is available to you.
Was the first one a little like that, or
it was? Yeah,
they had a map like that, but
they're always trying to do that 3D, like you're like in Star Wars, you're holding out that like world map or whatever. You know, like,
but you can fast travel in this too. So one of there was 2 big complaints. It was the run, skip, and jump constantly, but it was also like a lot of the missions were get to this place, now get back, and there was no fast travel, and I would get lost on the map because that map is like, and sometimes it's terrible.
It's a lot.
But in this
the
one,
map
it's
is still
bigger.
Not amazing, but it's better.
Yeah, but this is bigger, but you unlock fast travel. So every like Souls area that you go and rest at, you can travel to. And I like that because this game's already big enough. Please do not waste my time. Like, get back to your ship.
Yeah,
which
just
takes
for the
longer than get to the.
I actually thought the game wanted me to do that. I hit a part in the story where I think I met one of the big villains in the game, who is actually really cool and a great story.
I know what you're talking about, and yes,
Yeah.
Jeff, it was very cool.
Yeah, and there was a part where it's like, okay, now you need to leave, and I left the way I came, and I tried to fast travel out, and I was like, no, you can't do that, and I was like,
I did
well,
the
what am I
same
doing?
thing. Where
So you did the same
felt
thing,
so lost.
but
Yeah, I felt so
on the
lost.
way
yeah.
to trying to find where I need to go, I found some extra loot, so it wasn't completely wasted. So I did double back, and then I found where it wanted me to go. It's like a place on the side or whatever that you need to scoot to. Yeah,
you were in the middle of unlocking a new like mechanic, so it's like you can't fast travel because you have to learn this. So
exactly,
there are a couple areas that feel like dead ends until you see the little sliver that you're supposed to kind of like shimmy through.
That's happened a couple times for me.
Yeah. I love that because I feel like a lot of those areas are actually optional. Like there's a whole optional cave I discovered in the first open area. That's really cool, and there's like a ton of loot there. It's so cool. The sense
There's
of
a few of those
discovery is so cool
in Coruscant too. There's a few off the beaten path things where you can fight, not a mini boss, but like a strong enemy is waiting to face you.
One with a health bar at the top,
and then you can defeat them, and then there's some kind of item there, and usually it's gonna be like the pyro site or whatever that's called, or it'll be something that you can tell is valuable.
One of the many currencies in this game. Yeah, data pads, pyrosite, like actual money. There's
it said you can sell it at a vendor, so I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, you'll get there. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? There's some cool stuff.
How far is everybody in this game? How far is everybody into it?
I don't want to spoil too much, but in the trailer it does show you that there's like a cantina and stuff like that. And I just want to say that when you walk into that cantina, just everything just feels so Star Warsy, and it's like
cool. I'm not to that yet.
The most Star Warsy place like you can ever imagine, and the stuff that like grows off of that, again without going into too much of anything, is very interesting and very cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know. I think that Timmy, you were bringing this up in chat earlier, where it's just like, it just feels Star Warsy, and yeah, it does.
So
just
Star
vibes all day, music all day.
Yeah.
Just everything, the use of the existing art and concepts and stuff like that. It's all there, and it's all Star Wars. So that feels
the
great.
use of ancient lore too. I did not expect in this story.
Yeah. I know a lot about what's going on with all that stuff because of other things that are going on in other parts of the universe, and it's just interesting that they're tying in certain timelines and stuff like that. So
right.
Certain eras, I'll say.
The game world is built with love. It's just like with Hogwarts, where it's like they love this IP, they love this lore, and they're treating it that way. And I felt like that with the first game. I just feel like it even more so here.
I feel like they were given a lot more freedom. I mean, you can dismember people now, so.
Ooh. Oh yeah, definitely. It's awesome. You can turn it off too if you wanted to.
Oh, it's just because in the first one, it's just like it is a game where he is like on the run, right? Basically, so like it just didn't feel as lived in, and I think and again, obviously, that was one of the things.
That specific. Or not argument, but complaint is completely addressed in this game. I'd say, there's a lot of like moments where you're just there to like take it all in, and this is my home base or my area or whatever, or my home planet or whatever.
That's what I was missing alongside with Derek, with the whole like just kind of wanting things to feel like a little more open to like kind of.
You wanted a Dragon Age Inquisition castle. I know what you.
No, absolutely.
I know what y'all wanted.
If there's not a fucking castle in this game, I swear to God.
Otherwise, what's the point?
So Kyle, is there a castle in the game?
A castle? No, but
then we're not playing anymore.
There's a venue.
I'll lower the stakes and give you a cantina. How about that?
Yeah, that's actually fine.
I was asking how far is everybody in this game? I think I'm like 4 hours in.
I'm 12 hours in right now.
I don't know. Where is there a save file somewhere I could look at, or?
Mine's just Origin just tells me mine.
Yeah,
Origin tells me how long I've
that's
played.
like on the dashboard, and when you're hovering over the game, it'll say like, but that's often off for me. Just FYI.
Yeah, I don't know our count, but I'm working my way through that tar area in the first planet that you go to.
Oh yeah. Tar area.
Okay. Well, I'm just a little bit further
right?
than
You're going to the array.
What's that?
You're investigating the array or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a little bit further than him then.
I just got to that big like snail turtle creature thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where, to me, right after you get to the turtle thing, that's when you like walk out and in the camera kind of like pans out, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is really big.
It gives you that Zelda Breath of the Wild moment where it just kind of like oh my gosh.
It's all yours. It's all yours. Yeah. I'm where I mentioned, which is right after I meet one of the big bads and see some of his story. His or her story, who knows? I'm trying not to spoil anything, but it's such a great moment. Oh my god!
There's a villain. And
there is. Hey guys, there's a villain. I don't know if you knew that. There actually might be several. There might be several.
Also, just a little Star Wars factoid: the Bedlam pirates that like you're dealing with in this game,
like the Raiders and stuff.
The main bad guy, he's the main like bad guy or the same species of the Genji Toronovsky like Clone Wars, where it's like a tentacle monster that Obi-Wan's fighting the entire time. Y'all probably have never seen that cartoon.
No, I need to because Genji's awesome.
But yeah, like so this is a callback from something that's not canon at all. That they've made canon,
cool.
you know. So so he's like underneath all that armor, he's like a tentacle like monster. Or whatever.
Also, did I make the right connection? I didn't. I could just Google this, I guess. But I'm curious. The character that you're trying to send data to at the end of that first area, is that the Forrest Whitaker character?
Yeah, Saw Gerrera. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I thought that was his name. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the name.
That's
That
It's all connected.
Yeah, he's like the leader, right, of the rebellion.
All that they're missing is having the actor who plays Cal Kestis, Cam, whatever his name is, have him in an actual movie or show of Star Wars. Like,
I'm sure he will be at
this
some
point.
Yeah.
Be surprised. Yeah.
It can't be the Rey movie, obviously, because
he's a freaking epic hero across these games. Like, these are significant things happening in that world during very important
times. Could be Ahsoka though. I don't know. I mean, what's coming out soon. Mm-hmm.
That's the
I will
thing.
say
like her like race
Ahsoka.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how old can they live for? Versus him being
surprised.
more human. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm surprised how long they live.
I know. I'm like, that guy too? Okay, all right.
So this game takes place shortly before Episode 4, probably. Maybe a few years before Episode 4.
Yeah, like Rogue One.
Like a few years, yeah.
So Luke's probably like a little bit younger teenager, maybe middle school age or something.
Yeah, this is. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is happening at the same time as like Kenobi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they said they said
Kenobi season 1.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. That's a cool thing. I wonder if they're gonna tie it in and be like, "Hello there" at the end. It's gonna be fun.
Don't shut your mouth. I would be
Hello.
I would lose my shit.
I would pass out for several days.
I would totally pass out.
I have to mention that I'm not gonna bring the room down or nothing, but the visual quality I haven't been very impressed with in my experience. But I just remember Fallen Order looking better at launch, at least for its time that it came out in, and it looks better now. It's just I'm in performance. I started on quality and it looked great. And then I switched to performance just to see how it looked. And sure enough, of course, the 60 FPS looks great when you pan the camera around. It looks really smooth. And then I hit that open area, and that's when I started seeing the frame drops everybody's talking about. I had I had one crash earlier today.
Crash. You almost exaggerated there. Almost.
Well, that's called checking yourself, dude. Let me tell you something about checking yourself. But that's the only area that I've been. So I can see why reviewers are like. I was telling you guys in chat, I can see why they're like 8 or 9 because everything else is so effing good that it's worth rating that high.
I think some people review in the way where it's like we know this is patchable, and
totally.
like you said earlier, like and other people are like we don't care. We're reviewing it how it is right now, and that's important that we get that word out. And no one's wrong. It's just
you could make an argument for either of those. You're right. You could make an argument for either approach. Yeah.
It really
personally, unless it inhibits my ability to play the game. I'm not talking about if, like, for instance, I've seen the PS5 version and I put it down to performance and I was like, this is ugly. So I would never play it in performance, right? But I would never, ever, I would mention it in my review, it's uglier, but I would never dock the game points because it's uglier. That's stupid for me. But, like, if I'm playing the game and it's crashing or significant drops, I'm not talking like, I like Digital Foundry, but if you really watch their videos, they're so stupid. They're like, they have that little 60 frames per second meter.
At the bottom.
If it dips to like 58, 59, the guy will always say, and you see frequent dips. I'm like, guys, I played games long enough. If it drops to 58, 59, you don't feel it. Don't even act like you feel it. Yeah. If it drops from 60 to 45, you feel it. But if it drops like 2 or 3, you don't feel it. So to me, like, unless it's like messing up the way I interact with the game, I personally wouldn't dock it. Like, it has to do that. If it's ugly, I'll mention in my review, but I'm not going to be like, hey, because it's ugly. No, that's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far. I mean, I still think it looks decent in performance mode, and I definitely prefer it in performance mode just because I just like the way the camera feels in that mode. But it's definitely not like you're not going to see me complaining about it on Facebook.
60 frames per second snob. You're 60
I'm
frames.
not, but like it depends on the game though. Like some games I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it. Like Gotham Knights, I was totally cool with it. It looked great. In this game, I don't know. It's just something about I want to take the whole world in when I swing the camera around 360, and it looks smoother when I do it in performance mode.
Yeah, I think it looks better in quality mode, and I think it plays smoothly.
It looks really good in quality
I think
mode
most
too.
people say you should do performance mode, which is, and I think that's.
I've heard that.
Most games do.
And maybe I misread this. I heard that performance mode is not recommended at the moment, but I could be wrong.
Oh, really? Okay.
I thought I heard that too.
Like they're gonna patch it to improve it.
I'm not talking about like the reviewers, but all the people I've talked to that are playing the game have flipped it to quality and are like, I'm just staying in quality.
I'm playing on quality. I think it looks a lot better.
Because I can't tell everybody I'm stupid.
Well, I gotta tell you, like it's
it's
smooth enough. Now, when I get to open world, if I like do what Jeff described, where I'm panning the camera and it just kind of has that vague jittery feeling to it. I know that's
there's a slow,
but I actually don't do that a lot in games enough that I'm like this. I might just notice it during that one.
It's just because same thing with like God of War, games with like bigger epic feel. I liked, I'm like one of those guys.
You like to spin the camera while you're fighting.
Let me do the Michael Bay 360.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I want to do the bad shot.
Assassin's Creed.
Need some lens flares.
I get that.
Right.
Yeah,
I still love it though, guys. I mean, like I still couldn't put it down.
No, those are legitimate, like qualms about it that a lot of people
I feel
are
like
having,
it looks more detailed, and that's why maybe based off what Jeff's saying, like he's like, well, I feel like Fallen Order looked better. I think Fallen Order was cleaner looking. This is just more detailed, so I don't think they can make it as clean. Like if you go play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, compare it to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, 2 looks cleaner and prettier, which is crazy to me. But 3 is bigger and more detailed, so it's actually it's harder to the resolution dropped, and there's more going on. I think that's what's going on with this game. It's bigger, it's more detailed, there's more going on, and so
sacrifice would just be becoming bigger in scope,
Yeah, true.
And
true.
I think a lot of people. This isn't a shot at you, Jeff. I'm speaking in general.
I
think a lot of people. They don't take that into account. They're just like,
I didn't at all. Honestly.
Fallen Order looks better, ran better, blah blah blah. Apparently, Fallen Order, by the way, had issues at launch. I don't remember, but it did.
I don't remember it having.
Apparently, it was terrible on PC too.
On PC. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, like that game felt like it
Respawn hates PC
rushed,
gamers,
right, so to speak. Like,
it was announced and released pretty quickly.
Yeah, because they kept canceling all those other projects, like the Amy Hennig one, for example.
That's right.
So then that one just suddenly, because remember what I forget the dude's name. That's the lead at that team. But like, remember it was whatever. Yeah, that event that Keeley was like sat next to him. He's like, "So you're doing Star Wars, huh?" And he's like,
"Oh, he ambushed him."
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, I mean, okay, sure, yeah, we're gonna talk about that now, I guess." Sure.
You heard it here live, guys. There may be someone probably gonna do a Star Wars game.
It just felt like such like a rushed thing that like kind of happened so suddenly. So
right.
Yeah, which is also weird with this one too, because this one felt like we knew it was gonna come, right? But like they hadn't announced it. And I mean, when did they announce this game? Like I feel like it wasn't even 6 months ago, right?
Was it Game Awards?
Yeah, I thought it was Game Awards with a fall release day announcement, and then they delayed it. I know it went through one delay, right?
So not last Game Awards, but the one before it. Okay, like 2021. Okay.
I thought that Jedi Survivor was officially confirmed within the last 6 months, and then it was pushed back 1 month from March to April.
It definitely was pushed back 1 month. I'm sure we can Google it when it was announced, though.
Who cares about Google?
No, there's no way to know. There's no way.
There's absolutely no way.
There's just no way to
only there were.
Nope. I gotta hit my dial-up modem.
Yeah, so I
I
actually think it's
your modem.
A pretty gorgeous game. Like I've also been playing, Horizon and a bunch of other really pretty games, and I think it looks amazing. But again, I'm playing on quality mode, and I think 30 frames per second is running fine for me.
I think I should throw it back on quality.
But I think it's a gorgeous game. I think the lighting looks amazing. Like Derek was saying, with all the details, I think everything looks great. But again, I'm not looking at it so closely to try to compare visuals. At some point, I probably will, especially as we start thinking about, categories for Game of the Year and stuff like that down the road. I'm not saying it's the best looking game of the year or whatever, even this generation. I'm just saying I think it looks good. That's all.
I actually, with Burning Shores, I was flipping because they have 3 options. I think they have balance, performance, and quality. So I was flipping it around like when I got past the first mission. Yeah, exactly. I when I got past the first mission, I was like I was in the water using the skiff or whatever, and I was just like flipping it back and forth to see which one feels better. And honestly, I'm a 60 FPS. Not a snob because I'm not going to throw a fit on Facebook about something that trivial, but like I just like the way it feels when you're scanning around.
Most people like I feel like that should be the norm. I think we all wish for 60 FPS for every game all the time, everywhere, all at once, world. But we don't, we're not there yet, No,
don't play Redfall, people. I don't want to hear from you. Don't play Redfall. I don't want to hear it.
So I don't have a natural eye for it. Like if you were to do side by sides and show me like a specific instance of where you can feel it, I would probably notice it with you if you pointed it out to me. But on my own, I don't.
I think it's the camera.
It's not that I don't realize it. It's that I'm not actively looking to compare in the moment. Maybe that's more of what it is. Because if I go, oh, is this 60 FPS? Like usually I'm right, But like, I don't know. Maybe it's not something I'm actively always being like, boy, I could really tell this is 30 FPS because I didn't come in thinking it was automatically going to be 60.
Yeah. So. I don't know if like you flip it back and forth often, Tim, but I remember when I got the PS5.
Not a lot, a few times.
Okay, because when I got the PS5, that was my first time experiencing 60. I had Miles Morales, and I was flipping back and forth just to see. I was like, all right, like what's this 60 deal? And then I was like, okay, Derek's been right this whole time. I hate admitting that, but Derek's right. 60y frames. This is amazing.
It feels pretty apparent in Spider-Man.
I just want to say something that has nothing to do with that Derek is right. But what I think is hilarious is like all last gen, nobody gave a shit about.
I know, dude. That's my problem with it. Is like it
was always PC gamers were elitists, and that's kind of what Dan is referring to. He's like, Derek was right because Derek was all about 60 frames per second, blah blah. That didn't matter, and now every fucking launch is now you don't have a 60 frames per second, man. You don't have a 60 frames per second, man. I don't play games under 60.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I don't mind 30. It was. I don't mind 30 by any means, but like 60 just feels nice. It feels nice.
It does.
It's like, that's nice. That's nice that the option's there. It's more like
I don't know, maybe if I always recognize it unless like someone points it out or I actually see that it goes, this is a 60 FPS.
You're flip-flopping it back
there are
and forth.
certain games where I'll notice like it just feels a little jittery. I don't know what it is, and I'll switch it over. I'm like, oh, okay, that's better.
There's a sluggish feeling.
I'll tell you when I notice it.
Sluggish is a good word.
I don't really notice it on bigger screens. I've noticed it on the Steam Deck if I am willing to give up a little bit of battery life and flip it up to allow it to go up to 60 for a given game. I've noticed it there, and I don't know if that's because the screen's closer to my face or whatever. Like I noticed when I was playing Days Gone on my flight recently, I was just like, it feels a little jittery. I don't know what it is. I sacrificed, I think it was like a 45 minutes worth of battery life, that its expected battery life. It dropped because more frames, more battery, and yeah, all of a sudden it was super smooth. So I don't know. Sometimes I notice it, sometimes I don't. In this particular case, on quality mode, I'm having a blast. I think it runs wonderfully, but that's just my personal experience.
Ignorance is bliss.
I don't know what you have to gain for making all those lies, Tim. I don't know what you're gaining from all that.
So real quick, it was
it's acceptable to me, which I know it's not.
He's in the 30 FPS lobby's pocket.
The first cinematic teaser for this game was in May 2022. Does anybody remember that?
When was it?
I feel like that makes
May
sense
2022.
With the fall release, and I feel like there was a fall release like
some kind of Star Wars Celebration, or May the 4th, or Star Wars Celebration.
May the 4th would have been Star Wars Celebration,
but then December was the game.
Oh, that was it was like a shareholders thing maybe for Lucasfilm or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they probably just confirmed the title, but we didn't get a trailer till Game Awards, right?
Yeah, until December, and then they said, "Here's the date." Like, so it was March. Really, it seems
right. They threw the date out there.
That sounds right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's kind of right, but we guess we knew
I knew
about
it was quick, but I don't feel like it was just like 4 or 5
under
months.
a year still. Yeah, we're
pretty impressive.
Yeah. Under a year from confirming the title to launch, and under what was that? 5 months, I guess, from trailer.
I should make a dead serious post. Be like, guys, give this game a break. It was announced in December. That's when they started working on it. They finished this game in 4 months. And you guys are complaining. Come on.
I'm a professional.
My uncle works at Nintendo. All right. Well, it's an excellent game. We'll keep talking about it over the next several weeks. But I mentioned this to you guys, and I'll say it again. Like, what a cool year for beloved IPs that have been around for a long time, getting a just really good treatment in their game variations. So with Hogwarts, we saw it earlier this year, and we're seeing it again with Star Wars. I love seeing it. I hope we continue to see it with the other IPs that are on their way throughout the year.